Shinran's renewed emphasis on Bodhi-Mind. Honen had been criticized strongly by Mao Shonen for his apparent rejection of the cardinal Buddhist principle of Bodhi-Mind. However, Honen refers to it several times in the Senjaku-shu. But viewing it from the standpoint of the universality of the Nembutsu, he notes that each tradition in Buddhism has its own concept and correlative practices. Over against the applicability of the Nembutsu to any level of spiritual development or lack of it, the practices employed in any school to fulfill the aspiration for enlightenment are, according to Honen, auxiliary practices and provisional. Though the principle is indispensable in maintaining the spiritual foundation of Buddhist motivation for undertaking discipline and practice, it was Honen's insight that in the way it was presented by contemporary schools, it could not be fulfilled by the common people of the decadent age. Nevertheless, Bodhi-Mind is the mind that aspires to become Buddha with the object of bringing all other beings to equal enlightenment. The ideal which it represents cannot be restricted to a particular school, since it is fundamental principle of all Buddhism. It may have appeared to Honen's critics that he had rejected the principle and ideal of Bodhi-Mind. Consequently, Shinran focused on this teaching in the faith chapter of the Kyogawa Shinshu, indicating its fundamental importance for spiritual life. In this text, he states that in contrast to the self-power within other power aspiration for enlightenment, the Bodhi-Mind of transcending crosswise is directed to beings through the power of the vow. It is the mind that aspires to attain Buddhahood. The mind that aspires to attain Buddhahood is the mind aspiring for great enlightenment of crosswise orientation. Bodhi-Mind is Shinjin. Related to Shinran's renewal of emphasis on the principle of Bodhi-Mind within the context of Pure Land thought, he also stressed the identity of joyous trust, or Shinjin, Buddha nature. To explicate this association, Shinran depends largely on the Nirvana Sutra and on the Avatamsaka Sutra. In the Nirvana Sutra it states, Buddha nature is directed to beings through great Shinjin. Why? Because through Shinjin, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva has acquired all the paramitas from charity to wisdom. All sentient beings will, without fail, ultimately realize great Shinjin. Therefore it is taught, quote, all sentient beings are possessed of Buddha nature. Great Shinjin is none other than Buddha nature. Buddha nature is Tathagata. The concept of Buddha nature, which is the forecast of realization for all beings, is given an active turn by Shinran when he declares, quote, because this mind is the Tathagata's mind of great compassion, it necessarily becomes the decisive cause of attaining the fulfilled land. The Tathagata, turning with compassion toward the ocean of living beings in pain and affliction, has given unhindered and vast pure Shinjin to the ocean of sentient beings. Close quote. Shinran depicts the relation of the mind of sentient beings and the Buddha, quoting Tan Luan and Shan Tao. According to Tan Luan, quote, this mind attains Buddhahood means that the mind becomes Buddha. This mind is itself Buddha means that there is no Buddha apart from the mind. This is like the relationship of fire and wood. Fire arises from the wood. It cannot exist apart from the wood. The wood, on the other hand, is consumed by the fire. It becomes the fire. Close quote. Shantao states, quote, this mind attains Buddhahood. This mind itself is Buddha. There is no Buddha apart from this mind. Close quote. It is also interesting to note that with this principle, Shinran also transcends the concept of Mappo. The pervasiveness of endowed trust, Buddha, nature, or Shinjin is not bound by time. Rather, the condition of sentient beings, trapped within the wheel of births and deaths and bound by ignorance and passion from beginningless time, motivates and activates the Buddha's universal, unconditional compassion through the cosmos and throughout all eons. The passages from the Nirvana Sutra reveal the source or basis of endowed trust. From the Avatamsaka Sutra, Shinran quotes an elegant poem exalting trusting faith, depicting its manifestation within the person as the reflection of the nature and character of Buddha. The experience of endowed trust establishes the person as equal to the Tathagata. According to the poem on trusting faith, quote, Shinjin is the source of enlightenment, the mother of virtues. It nurtures all forms of goodness. It cuts away the net of doubt and breaks free from the currents of desire. It unfolds the supreme enlightenment of nirvana. Close quote. The themes of attaining to the company of the truly assured in this life, equality to the Tathagata, Maitreya, or Vaidehi in Shinran's writings, express the high spiritual status conferred on those who have experienced endowed trust. These concepts are Shinran's alternative to the expectation in Tendai of attaining union with the reality of all things in an instant of thought, based on the principle of the unity of Buddha nature and the 10 worlds, and the Shingon goal of becoming a Buddha in this very body, which signifies union with the cosmos represented in Tathagata Mahavirachana. However, where the latter, as commonly understood, are pursued as the goal of discipline and rigorous practice, the former result from the working of other power, which transforms attitudes and values. Hence, the poem states that, quote, if one awakens the mind that aspires for enlightenment, in Shinran's thought this is Shinjin, one diligently practices the virtues of the Buddhas, close quote. Nevertheless, despite the spiritual unity of the Buddha mind and the mind of sentient being, one remains a foolish mortal, while free of arrogance and self-indulgence, and dwelling, quote, in the realm of birth and death without fatigue or revulsion, close quote.